Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters in Islam. Inshallah, all of you guys are in the best of health and iman and you're all doing fine. So guys, we're out here and we're about to talk to you guys about a very important topic that unfortunately a lot of you guys seem to be going through. Now, of course, you shouldn't really be going through something like this, but some of you guys are really naughty and you will fall into stuff like this, of course. But alhamdulillah, we're always out here to address these sort of things and inshallah to help all of you recover from these things. So the topic that we will be talking about today, inshallah, is 3 steps to recover from a broken heart. So brothers and sisters, the first step would be to understand why your heart was broken. Why are you feeling this pain inside your heart that you are feeling? Now, just to mention before I even carry on, I do know to some extent how you guys might feel, because of course I have been in, some sort of situations in the past, and subhanallah, I can tell you guys, and I'm sure you guys will agree, that when you do feel something like heartbreak, it's something that will eat you from the inside. It'll really hurt you, to the extent where whenever you wake up in the morning, you will think about that person. Whenever you go to sleep, you'll always feel depressed about what happened. So what you need to understand is that your love with that person was based upon something in this dunya. Whether that thing was your desires, whether that thing was your passion, whether that thing was their eyes luring you in to speak to them, whatever that was, it was something in this dunya. Of course, you're not gonna go and get a boyfriend or fall in love with someone on the street or something like that for the sake of Allah. It'll probably be your desires, the way they're walking, or something crazy like that. So essentially, you need to understand that your love was not based upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it definitely wasn't based upon Islam or anything to do with Islam, or it wasn't based upon fulfilling, half of your deen. If it was, you would be in a pretty different situation. So you need to understand that your love was based upon something that will eventually die. Because you see, if it was based upon your desires for that person's looks, their looks will go and their looks will change, and their looks will maybe go into bad or worse looks, they'll grow old. If it was based upon the way that person, their whole aura, their character might change. So all of these sort of things might change. So understanding that if your love isn't based around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will eventually die. So brothers and sisters, the second step would be to understand that the one who created your heart, the one who molded it into the shape that it is in and the feelings that it feels, can also mend it if it is broken. You see, if your watch was broken, and it's not telling the time right, you wouldn't go to the shoemaker to go and repair your watch, would you? You would go to the watchmaker. You would go to someone who knows what he's talking about. So in the same manner, the one who created your heart is the best person that you can go to in order to fix it. So brothers and sisters, the third and final step, which is very important, is to work towards establishing a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because now you should understand why your heart was broken. You see, you went through a phase with this specific person and you fell in love with them. I'm not going to deny that you didn't fall in love with them, because you can fall in love with people. It's natural to fall in love with people. But you see, there are reasons behind love. There are things behind love. You see, some brothers, you meet them on the street and they're like, yeah, bro, I'm in love. I feel like I'm really in love, And you say, why, bro? Why are you in love for? And they're like, oh, I saw this girl, yeah, subhanallah, like the way she walks, bro, it just takes me into Jannah or something. It makes me feel like I'm floating in the sky. No, that's not love. You see, that's you going through a moment where you're feeling some sort of attraction towards a woman and you're like, yeah, this is who I feel attraction towards. But you see, attraction and love are 2 different things. You see, a man will get attracted to 500 women a day, but he won't fall in love with 500 women a day, if you guys understand what I'm saying. You see, when you fall in love with a person, you'll do anything to protect them from harm. You'll die for them. You'll struggle for them. You'll go through hardships, trials and tribulations with that person. Are you guys telling me that you will go through hardships, trials, tribulation, death for people you're attracted to. I mean, guys, we're living in a very sexualized society over here. So we're getting attracted to people left, right and center. And the reason why I feel like, you know, kind of laughing, because people say they're in love when they're not in love. They don't even know what love is. You know, you're 15 years old, you come out of your high school and you think you're in love. You see, when you spend time with a person and you fall in love with their character, the way they are, their whole aura, being around the person, even if they're silent, not saying anything, but the fact that you're around that person and you feel that comfort and you feel that, you know, stability with this person in this boyfriend, girlfriend relationship that you are in, you will feel a connection with them. And then when this person says something bad to you or really hurtful, and you have a problem with them, and you break up with them, your heart's going to be inevitably broken. And you won't be able to recover from your heartbreak, because that love was based around their aura. That love was based around that person's character. That love was based around your attraction towards one another. But you see, when you truly love a person is when you love them for the sake of Allah. You see, love for the sake of Allah is something a lot of people talk about. And if you're not necessarily a practicing Muslim watching this, you know, you might be thinking, okay, yeah, I hear this term a lot, but what is it? I guarantee you, a lot of the people that even use this term don't understand what it is fully. You see, when you love someone for the sake of Allah and you tell them, bro, I love you for the sake of Allah. You tell your wife, you know, darling, I love you for the sake of Allah. That means that even if we have an argument today, we'll overlook that later on. We'll overlook it. When we've both calmed down, we'll think, you know, we're both together, we're both Muslims, we're both living with each other, and we're both fulfilling each other's deen. Both of us are fulfilling each other's half of our deen. So you guys will understand that this love is based around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This love, even if something goes wrong, it will go right eventually. And in the same way, brothers and sisters, of course, the third step is to engage in dhikr, engage in acts of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that you may have a connection with Him. Basically, connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you need to understand that you now need to fall in love with Allah, because Allah is the one that can make your love a permanent, ongoing thing. Now, the way you fall in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by learning about Him. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys, oh, learn Arabic, go and start reading the Quran, go and start reading the Hadith, you know, study them with the Shaykh, you know, become students of knowledge, go to Medina University, graduate, and then you'll fall in love with Allah. You're done. That's a very long process, and a lot of you guys might be sitting in somewhere in London or somewhere in Canada or USA, and you're thinking, whoa, this guy, you know, that escalated quickly. But what I am going to tell you is everyone has access to an English Quran. Start reading about your Lord. Start reading about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Start reading about the kind of mercy He has towards us. Start reading about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and start to love them more. And you see, the next time let's say you want to get married. And I am only going to talk about marriage here, because if you're looking to go into another boyfriend-girlfriend relationship that doesn't last, and you're trying to love that person for the sake of Allah, how can you love a person for the sake of Allah when you're not obeying Allah? Like, that's some double standard love. So you have to understand that now you need to work towards getting married. And even if it's with the person that you were previously in love with, you know, start to work towards getting married. But before you do that, work on your connection with Allah. So read about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and once you've read about Him, start to worship Him. And the reason why I first mentioned to read about Allah is because when you read about someone, you learn about them and you start to know more about them. And when you don't know about a person and you don't have a clue about them, you start to think, okay, you know, when you have something like something that happens in life where you're feeling a bit demotivated, you just forget about that person. But you see, the more you know about Allah and the more you learn about Him, the more you're going to love Him. Now, of course, learn about Allah, as I've mentioned. Now, once you've learned about Allah, start to pray your salah. Start to you know, pray 5 times a day. You know what is that, 25 minutes of your day, you know, you're praying, and alhamdulillah, you know, you've established a connection with Allah right there. Then aim towards getting married. You know, obviously I assume if you're old enough to be in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, you should be old enough to get married. So aim towards getting married, inshallah. And then when you get married, love your spouse. I was gonna say spice. Obviously there might be a hot spice, but yeah. But yeah, love your spouse for Allah's sake. You see, don't be blinded by the temptations of this world. Don't be blinded by your attraction for the person. Love them because they fulfill half of your deen. Love them because they help you stay away from all of these acts of zina. Love them because they help you be a better Muslim. So guys, you know what to do, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for watching the video. Check out the links in the description. That's pretty much it. I really hope you guys benefited. Assalamu alaikum.